Nolan West here. Last week I talked about how we live in the most peaceful and prosperous time in recorded history, and life is getting better for virtually everyone across the globe, and we should give thanks for that. But today I'd like to focus on how lucky we are to live in the United States. Despite the doom and gloom you hear in the news, our nation is poised to thrive now and into the future. And not only is it going to thrive, but thanks to our ideal geography, our strong economy, and of all things, millennials, even if we drive our country into the ground, we're still going to be in a much better position than the rest of the world. First, let's start with our ideal geography. America has the largest chunk of arable land in the world in the greater Midwest. And we also have the greater Mississippi Basin, which runs 16,000 miles of river right through it, giving the Midwest access to the world through the Gulf of Mexico. And moving goods by water is far cheaper than by land. So we've been able to thrive in the middle of the country, whereas that actually isn't normal. You look at the central regions of other large countries like Russia, Brazil, China, they are poor and desolate places. But thanks to our perfect geography, we're thriving from coast to coast here in America. And now you probably don't think about this because modern war has basically ended between great powers, but we have borders that are secure from invasion. I mean, we have the Atlantic and Pacific Ocean act as moats to our castle that is America, and we have tundra to the north and desert to the south. Unlike Europe, our borders are secure from invasion. I mean, if you look at European history, I mean, their borders have changed all the time through many, many wars, and only recently have they had any peace. Otherwise, it's been a nation enveloped in war. I mean, the only time we've been successfully invaded at all was in the War of 1812 when British Canadians invaded from Canada and set the White House on fire. And this geographic security has played a huge role in the economic development of the U.S., especially after World War II. The whole of Europe was decimated by the use of bombing aircraft and the new tactics where they targeted industrial and civilian areas, not just military targets. And while Europe was decimated by bombs, we were safely on the other side of the Atlantic building bombs. And after World War II, the United States was the only country left with an intact navy. The United States made a commitment to protect free trade around the world as long as nations opposed the USSR and opened their markets to everyone. And with our industrial base entirely intact, the rest of the world was destroyed, so we were able to export our way to tremendous prosperity because we were the only people with factories that weren't blown to the ground and military-age populations that were wiped out. So our country is completely secure from invasion. We've grown from coast to coast. Everybody's been able to thrive. And we've been spreading free trade and freedom throughout the world. And now we're on the verge of becoming totally energy independent. The shale boom going on right now in America has flooded us with energy. As a result, the U.S. is the largest energy producer in the world. We're number one in oil production, natural gas, nuclear power, geothermal, and biofuels. And we're number two in solar and wind. The shale boom has given us the cheapest natural gas in the world, and we're really going to enjoy that this winter. Energy independence is important, not just because it emancipates us from the Middle East oil cartels, but low-cost energy generates economic growth. Just look around you. Everything you see that had to be built was produced using energy, from a piece of paper to an LED screen on your phone. Lower energy costs means everything gets less expensive, and it'll continue to spur our economic growth. We are so lucky to live in the United States. We really do have the best geography and economy in the world. But there's one more thing we have that the rest of the world doesn't. Millennials. Now, I know everybody loves to hate on millennials, but they are really our ace in the hole, economically speaking anyways. So just let me elaborate. The median age in the United States is 38.1 years. That is younger than all of Western Europe and soon to be younger than China because of their one-child policy. And this happened because millennials are the largest generation since the baby boomers. But that only happened in the United States, not the rest of the world. And why does that matter? Well, developed nations across the board are consumption-led economies. To continue to grow, they need people to be spending their money. In other words, they need young people to blow all their money as they usually do, because that's what generates returns on the investments of older generations, and they in turn pay 90% of the taxes. Thank you. As generations age, though, they leave the spending class, they spend far less and start costing money, in the form of Social Security and healthcare costs. And that becomes a real problem if most of the population is getting older. Because the median age in Western Europe is 43.5 years. Their aging population is not only not being replaced by the next generation, but they're going to annihilate their government's budgets. Their money will be eaten up paying for massive pensions and healthcare costs, and they'll be forced to raise taxes to cover the difference. But with declining consumption, their tax base will also be shrinking. It's a terrible situation to be in. However, we in the United States won't have near that problem. And to sum it up, we live in a country with the greatest geography, the best economy, and we have a bright future unlike the rest of the developed world. We're truly lucky to be here. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share it. And if this subject matter interests you, I encourage you to read Peter Zion's The Accidental Superpower. I actually have it right here. This is what it looks like. Read it. It's very interesting. That's where got a lot of my information. But thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed it.